What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Alex Guzman podcast. I'm here with Stanley, so I'm gonna go ahead and let him kick it off.
What's going on, guys? So obviously, Alex had many podcasts in the past. We're bringing it back. We're gonna do more of like this internal pod type of deal where we do it like at least once a month. He's gonna be doing a lot more collabs as well, in time. So we kind of look at this podcast more of like kind of behind the scenes, the operations right here at Landscaping Experts, MDC, right? His life, kind of. For those that don't know who I am, I'm kind of like the right hand man, and I'm the guy behind the scenes. So. Kind of do some month recaps, some wins, losses, things we learned, right? So it'd be cool to kind of share with you guys, right? So is there anything else you kind of, when you look at this podcast, what do you really want to,
Yeah, I think
to bring to
I
the
think it'd be
table?
cool to bring on more of the operational side to this podcast, so they can kind of not only see a different side, but also take away something from the podcast, not only from myself, but from people like you. Because at the end of the day, I'm not running this whole operation, and I don't think I do. I mean, I really don't think we can do a better job of showing that in my vlogs. um my daily my content on my Instagram. So this would be pretty cool to get more of a behind the scenes of not only the operational side, but also more people like you that actually run this shit when I'm not around. And that's a lot more than people think. So it'll be cool for them to experience that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to be able to look back at these too, like there's so much. I was thinking about it the other day, dude. Actually, before I get too crazy with it, what even made you start getting into YouTube, like really heavy into it?
uh I will say I was first influenced by you. Because before then it wasn't even a thought, right? It wasn't even a thought of me being on YouTube, Instagram, which we just hit 30,000 followers. Alex Guzman official. If you guys aren't following yet, go ahead and follow. But yeah, initially you were the one that sparked that. And then obviously once that thought came to fruition, then I really saw the benefit of it for not just myself, right? It's even though I'm the face of these companies when it comes to MDC, when it comes to landscaping experts, um, it benefits all these companies as a whole, not just me as a person. So once I saw that benefit, then it's like I was full force. And YouTube, we just got into it full force here. What, a couple months ago,
Mm-hmm.
with a vlog that drops every single week. And then again, also I wouldn't be able to do it without our team. So but yeah, just the main reason is, like I said, the impact that's going to have on the brands that I have to do, that I'm part of in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Tony, man. He's the guy behind the camera. He's really got this all hooked up. So yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. And the reason why I brought that up too is like this isn't something we just started though. Like when I first came here in March, it's gonna be about 4 years, which is crazy because it feels like so much longer.
Yeah.
And dude, within the first couple of months, I had pushed Alex to do a podcast. We actually rented this hotel
Oh
room.
yeah.
It's like a backdrop
Crazy. Yeah.
out in the city because we're like, oh man, let's and we I don't even think we did some clips with it, never put it out, but it's been a slow grind, like kind of
Yeah.
finding our groove, right? And that's kind of my message to anybody watching too. Like if you're starting out like in business or whatever, you got to get in front of the camera and just don't expect it to happen overnight. Like it's just not
Yeah.
going to happen. But I don't think we've ever had that mindset, right? We know long term this shit's
Yeah.
going to work out if we just keep at it. But we never woke up every day like, man, why don't we have 1 million followers? Like, dude, like we got to earn that.
Yeah.
And it's going to take time, man, just like
Trust.
anything else.
Yeah.
you know?
Trust.
So, like I said, this isn't the first podcast. Obviously you guys can go watch back his story. He's done many of them where he talks about his story, goes in depth. But, let's hop right into it, man. So, like this month, right, we're closing out, getting ready for December. So, as of November as a whole, kind of like what are some of the biggest lessons learned, you think? Like, it could be some mistakes, some pivots you might have made, maybe some market corrections you noticed, and crew performance, client issues. What's just one thing that stands out is when I'm talking about that's like, man, like that's probably the biggest takeaway from this month.
Yeah, I think honestly, biggest takeaway for me this month and just the last few months, it sounds crazy. I took over this business 20 years ago, and I think the last few years it's been more of I went so hard and so deep when it came to business that I fell behind on developing myself, and I just feel like I've backtracked a little bit to now develop myself, and then all these things that I can think about that I've learned and that I'm going to change or this last month. It comes down to personal uh in the personal aspect, because it's like one of them is one of the biggest ones is that I learned this month is, just because I'm having problems doesn't mean that my team can't have problems, right? Like, and just overall, like it's the last month, I just it all that one thing it all hones down to being a better leader. Um, because it's like without being a good leader, everything else falls apart. And just to summarize that, I can use that sentence. I think I got that from oh shit, I can't remember. I think it was Dom that talked in one of his videos.
Dom, who? For those that don't
Um,
know,
I can't pronounce his last name.
he's like,
Dom Icamon. Well, he's the owner of Relive. Uh, he's also part owner in 3D. He's part owner with Cbum with Raw Nutrition. So he's but either way, I think he talked about it and he said it's like, man, the biggest thing is they have to realize that as a leader, you know, you're going through a lot of shit, probably a lot more than the people under you, but that doesn't mean that your employees or your partner can't bring you problems. And because at the end of the day, that's what I signed up for, and that's one of the biggest learning lessons for me this past month is doesn't matter how many problems I have, that doesn't mean that my team can't bring me problems, and that's just what I signed. I need to get better at that. Um, and Yeah, I think for me that was the biggest really learning lesson this past month.
yeah, yeah. I'd say for me, see, and again, I'm more of like the operations guy, so I schedule a lot of the estimates, like I oversee a lot of the crews, operations, stuff like that. But um, uh, it was more of like a reminder for me,
Yeah,
like I think, there's been a lot. We've tried and tested a lot through the years, or like the years that I've been with you at least, and we've always kind of led the way here in our area for like, I know you were one of the first ones to really push designs and actually charge, a good amount
yeah,
for them. Not doing free designs, right? And just stuff like that, and even down to like qualifying a certain way. But we've went extremes on both ends, right? And
yeah,
and something that I just had, like, it was just another reminder, right? Like, I've made these calls every day for the past 4 years. Like, I don't know, I've got a pretty good handle on making calls and scheduling and, like, qualifying leads or whatever. But it was just like a reminder this month of like, dude, like, probably 2 years ago, there's a lot of leads I probably would have let go because at the time, I think we overvalued your time or our
yeah,
time in general way too much, and we went too far in like, hey, everybody has to follow a design process, and it's really not the case, right? Like, and what I mean by that, right, is like I would get these calls where it's a smaller project. Like typically, we're shooting for like a minimum 80K budget for each project. That's like what our target is, right? But there's some bangers underneath there, right? That
yeah.
that in the past there was a period where we were just cutting all those out. Like, nah, we can't. If you ain't at this certain point, we ain't taking it on. If it doesn't require design, I can't entertain it. And it's like, dude, thinking back, like how much we lost out on because of those decisions, because we just overvalued our time a little bit too much, I would say.
Yep.
And it just helps with gaps. It helps with just so much. Dude, there's so
Cash
much
flow.
easier cash flow for the crews. They're in and out. It's easy for them. It's nice little
Almost
breaks,
like a
right?
break, yeah. It's almost like a mental break for the crews from these massive
Massive project. You go
headaches,
for
jobs, and yeah,
right. Like for us, like out here in Chicago, there's not these. Like, yeah, there's some big fish projects, right? Like the half a mil, whatever. We've only done like one or two of those. Typically, we're around the 150, 200K mark, 300K, right?
yeah,
That's kind of the bigger projects you're going to be seeing. But typically, like you're going to be looking around that 60, 80K mark. But a lot of them are 20 by 20 patios, clean slate. That's
yep.
it. And those, a lot of times, we were just skipping on them. We're like, hey man, like it's not that full design build that we want. We need multiple
I think we had set a
components.
minimum of 80,000.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, 80,000, and it just hit me, dude. It was like, we started kind of taking a step back. I started not qualifying as hard because what I realized, and again, I'm just sharing this. It doesn't matter if you're an owner of a construction company or just a service-based business, and you're still the one taking the calls. Act as if you're not the owner. I
Yeah,
would say, hey, this is John from the office, and you're not even John, right? But at the end of the day, and you don't have to do that, but put it in the perspective of like, hey man, you gotta let the guy go out there and do his job. Like
Yep.
it's like you haven't, shaken this person's hand. You really don't know who, what type of
What's on
person
the
this
other
is or what
side?
kind of project it is. Because a lot of times, I get a racist guy on the phone or someone's being rude or I want this shit done yesterday. It's like, dude, I'm not gonna let you go waste Alex's time. So I was very protective, and I'm not saying they were all bad to let go, but my point is like what we started to realize is like, hey man, like you start letting Alex go to more of these and just do his job and let him, test their temperature. And we walked away with so many more projects,
Yeah.
this year and just learning from that, dude. Like really, like last year we did it, like we made that transition, like, hey man, let's step back. But this year it really confirmed it, And then a lot of people around us, or just in general, all over the states, are like, yeah, man, this is very slow. It's getting bad. Dude, this is probably the best we've ever done.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's the only factor, but it's definitely one that was like, man, like this month, especially going to these winter months, usually this is where it starts to really kind of slow down. You got to get creative, right? But
November's
man,
pretty bad.
it's been the complete opposite this year, which is it's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's probably one of my biggest takeaways this month. So this is another fun one, right? Like what was one good habit you feel like you've implemented this last month that you felt really moved the needle forward in life?
In life or in business?
Anything.
Right.
It can be anything. Yeah.
Uh, I would say, yeah. So the one habit that I've implemented recently that I feel like it just pushes forward as a whole, a lot has been not ignoring the things that are not the strongest in your, whether in your team, whether just within your ecosystem in general, right? Because it's so much easier and so much it's just a lot more fun to lean towards the things that you're doing great at. So I think that this year I've been attacking those things that I'm not great at, or as a whole, we're not doing great in, and just every day going into those things. Like if for some reason, let's say your numbers, for at one point, numbers weren't great for us when we started just growing too fast, and I just started to ignore the numbers, and the more I ignored them, the worse we were doing. But they were doing well in sales, but the actual P&L sheets looked like shit, and those are the things I was ignoring. And it's just more of the biggest thing I've implemented is, and that's actually moved the needle surprisingly a lot more than I thought in the last couple of months, or even less in a couple of months, is really honing down on the things that are not doing great, that are not looking good within your business, and attacking that, making a change like now. Like we looked at our P&L sheet, and some of these subs were killing our numbers, not only our numbers but our cash flow, and then just really every single day just waking up and attacking those things instead of saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to ignore that and I'm going to continue to pursue the things that we're doing great at. So yeah, just and I feel like that just has pushed us, you know, in the right direction tremendously. These changes that I've implemented, we're supposed to start pushing us forward in a certain direction 2026, and we're in what, November, and I can tell you right now that we're already in that direction. So just really, down, like I said, down to looking at certain numbers every single day and just attacking the things that we're not great at.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to speak for itself here in the next year or two. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yeah, no, I love that, man. Yeah, for me, it's similar. It's just in on the life aspect for me, like, just getting better at the things that, like you said, we neglect, and like for me, like I've always it's something I've struggled with, like being reactive to things, and dude, I'll go so hard on the business side, but then let my health go, and one of the things that has really helped me recently, because dude, like I don't know if there's anybody watching this that struggles getting to the gym. Like, I don't know. I kind of put myself in this little rabbit hole, right? And it's tough to get out of, right? I wasn't always unhealthy, but something that I really started helping me was like, man, and it sounds so stupid, right? Because it is, but it's so simple, and it's habits I used to have, but kind of forgot. So it's like a good reminder. Like, dude, just like the preparation and everything. We're like,
Yeah.
the better you prepare, right? Like having everything done, the night before you really start winding down, like getting everything. Almost like when I get home, dude.
Even
I
your
just get,
clothes, man.
yeah,
Even
dude,
they say
everything.
even like laying your clothes on the bed that you're gonna wear to the gym
Dude,
next day. That already, I think it's proven
yeah,
that already like raises the chance of by X% that you're actually gonna go to the fucking gym,
yeah,
or even just in general. I mean,
yeah.
and other things.
Yeah, and for me, like, dude, I would go so hard at work and just like, oh man, I got all these targets, whatever. And I was like, oh man, 1 week goes by, it's not a big deal. Like, I'll get to the health shit, you know? And then that just adds up to a year, 2 years. And it's just like, dude, it's just shit show. And then you start putting in your mind all these like these narratives, like, man, I just can't get myself to wake up in the morning or whatever. And at a good time, right? You're waking up at like 4 o'clock or some shit,
Yeah,
getting to the gym. But you have, I'm not saying you don't have any issues, but it's you've got a good rhythm going. And then I was like, man, I don't for some reason I can't do it. And that's what I'm telling myself. But then, dude, the more I start preparing, like I'll get home, dude, as soon as I eat my dinner, I'm brushing my teeth. Like just
yep.
whatever it is, like, and then it just helps me like decompress so much faster. And just getting rid of the shit that happened through the day. And then, dude, like you just sleep great and you wake up. Like I think this morning, dude, I woke up it's like 5:30, no alarm, nothing. Like it was easy.
Yep.
Gym, whatever, and it's gonna be a process for me, right? Because it's a lot of years, but I'm just sharing that, right? It was something that I look back on, and it's kind of a habit that I just reminded myself and got myself back in the group. So it feels pretty good, man. So
Preparation.
yeah, it's preparation, man. And even on in the work side, right? The more you prepare for the day ahead, it just that's how you walk away with those wins. So before we get into some of the bigger topics, one last thing, man. Going into December, what's kind of like your message that you feel like you're gonna head into December with? What's your message for that month?
Um, I I would say, and I think we talk about this in MDC calls all the time, is don't let off the gas completely, right? Because I feel like a lot of and obviously I can speak for it because we work with a lot of people and with a lot of businesses in MDC. And I feel like a lot of people starting November, since they're worn out for the season, they go into December just taking the whole month off. And I don't know, I just feel like those are the people that are gonna fall behind springtime. I'm not saying don't take any time off. Obviously, I have 3 kids myself. I love to spend time with them, my wife, all that. But it's like Christmas week. It's like, dude, you don't need to be home all week. Like, that's just my opinion, right? Like, they don't want you go. They don't need you home all week, dude. You just, if it's like Christmas is on a Thursday, go close some deals Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and earn your weekend. And I can promise you, even if you close 1 or 2 deals in those weeks, and then January comes, and then you close another 1 or 2 deals the week of New Year, like it's gonna stack up. It's gonna stack up, but don't completely turn off. And I'm not saying it's wrong either way, right? But don't ask like people. We tell people we're booking for July already of 2026, and they're like, "Wait, what? How? How come I'm not?" And it's like, dude, do you really want to know, or are you just asking because you feel like you have to ask?
Yeah.
So it's like, don't completely turn off. If you really put it this way, if you really want to get to live a life that most people don't live, you're gonna have to do things that most people don't do, like working part of the Christmas week,
Yeah.
and even then, I was watching one of Dom's YouTube videos. He's gonna be working Black Friday, guess, or like this Friday, I'm gonna be completely off all of Friday. I'm gonna be off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Guess what? He's working every single day. And guess what? It adds up. Look at what he's accomplished. Look at what I accomplished.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it. Like I'm conscious of it. Right now, when my kids are, went from 3 to 6 years old. I know what I'm willing to give up to have a certain thing. It's a balance, right? But it's different for everybody. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, man, it's not fair that Dom has this, and then I don't. And it's like you have to know that whatever you put in, you're gonna give back, and there's no right or wrong amount of it either way. But just keep that in mind that if you turn off all of December, January, November, like even November, if you turn off and let off the gas, well, just keep that in mind. Springtime, you're going to be a little behind, you're more behind than the other people that actually kept going.
Yeah.
So that's just something that I want to leave them with for the month of December.
I think you said before when we were talking, it's like the way you kind of phrase it is like everyone has their own type of car that they drive, right? And for a good reason. So it's like
Yep.
You said like he's probably driving what, and it's not even about the car, right? But it's just the idea of it, right? And like you said, man, these months go by quick, right? Like
Yeah.
there's like we got this week that's pretty much scratched off for a lot of people because they got Thanksgiving, and then you got Christmas coming up, New
The
Year's,
New
right? Like
Year's
it
and
just flies by. So it's like when you could scoop up one or two deals in the middle of that, man, you may need it. You come
yeah.
January, you never know. We're not promised anything in January. You could,
We ain't-
bad health, anything could happen, dude.
Yep.
So it's like, dude, you got to take advantage of today, now, the moment, and so hopefully, like you said, you guys still show up. We continue to show up, and everyone looks at Alex like, man, how do you, like he said, how are you booking in July? Like that's fucking nuts. It's like, dude, it's just because we continue to show up. So it's not hard. Just got to show up.
It's not hard, but it's not easy.
Yeah, right. I did want to. So for those that don't know, we have a community called Modern Day Contractor (MDC), right? I just want to share some highlighted wins sometimes here and there when we do these podcasts. One that stood out just recently was David Salinas. He closed 26 accounts. I think it was just roofing. He's a roofer, so I think it was just 26 homes with a builder close on those accounts. So I just want to give a shout out to him. Anybody else watch from MDC, man, get those wins up. I want to include you in here. He's just one of the most recent ones. Just want to highlight that.
Yeah, I like that. Shout outs for they could be every podcast. Yeah, the guy, whoever stands out.
Yeah, and he's one that really stood out to me because he's kind of been still kind of stuck in the field managing a lot, and he's trying to get out of that. We're helping him with it, but even though he wasn't able to show up to our weekly calls on Monday, we have every Monday morning, 9 a.m. Central Time, we have a weekly call setting the tone for the week, and he wasn't able to make it at that time because I think he's on he might be, I can't remember what state he's in, but either way, like he wasn't able to make it, but he would still watch back the recordings, and then he was blasting the feed with questions, and then the win show, right? That wasn't the only win he got, but that was the one that stood out to me the most. Pretty awesome to see, and so shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Keep doing it.
For the people that don't know, how is it that we help? Can you tell them how we help contractors through MDC? Specifically, like what are the things that we do to help these contractors grow?
Yeah, I mean, everything from A to Z, right? Like, if you're just starting out, or if you've been in business for 14 years, we've helped all of them, right? Like, we've had this open for about a year now. I would say close to about 90 guys. With masters, probably like 100, honestly. And it just, everyone's different, right? But we'll help you with if it's going to be sales, marketing, knowing your numbers, right? Estimating, you name it, right? And then ideally, right, what typically we see, right, is you have these contractors or people that start out, and to get to that million mark or close, right, depending on the state you're at, numbers will fluctuate, but around that 750, 800K, maybe million mark, we call that like the dirty million. Like, it's not hard to get there once you know your numbers, you get your estimating in check, right? You have a good software that you use, you get your sales dialed in, right? Like a good sales process that you follow every time. And then you have your marketing in check, right? You have abundance of leads coming in or a good steady flow. At that point, you're kind of off to the races, right? From there, then it's like you get around that million mark. It's like, all right, now we need to start buying back your time. We got to get you out of the field, got to get you behind the scenes, running things how they should be, right? So you can work on the business, not in the business. So that's really where, Masters comes into play. It's a whole nother level, and that's where Alex gets a lot more one-on-one. But typically, like when you get into MDC, initially you have a roadmap call. Alex looks at that call like, hey man, if I had to step into this company tomorrow, where are the leaks at? What do I need to fix, right? And he's going to give you that list of things to go attack, right? After that call, like I said, we have that weekly live call every Monday morning, 9 a.m. Central Time, holding you accountable, setting the tone for the week, right? We go deep on a subject, and the second half is always Q&A. This last week, we had our CPA on, 50 minutes of Q&A. I mean, it was banger, right? So we do a lot of fun things like that, and then through the week you have the community. You can blast questions, ask whatever you want, tag Alex, right? And then when you do have that call with Alex, he's like, all right, man, these are the things I want you to go knock out. If it's marketing, right? Like we literally have videos step by step showing you how to run your own Facebook ads, Instagram ads, check your ad performance, CRM, sales, everything you need. Our whole goal is like we want to make sure there's no excuse for why you can't get to the next level. And, our guarantee is that we'll be here till you don't need us. So, to even get in MDC, you have to get a call with me. We have to even make sure you're a good fit. We can actually help you. So there's no link you can just go buy and get in. That's not how we run it, right? We're not just a random community. It's more like a family. So, that was a cool thing we did this year. I don't know I guess we didn't do too much of like a YouTube recap of it, but
Yeah.
had our second ever event at MDC. It's
Oh
only been
yeah.
about a year and a half now in total, because first we started on Facebook, but within schools where our community is now, about a year or so. So it's cool to see what we've done, right? The family we've kind of built, and we're just getting started,
We're
man. But
starting.
that's kind of how we help,
That's dope.
contractors starting out or and already. I mean, we got people like Carlos, dude.
Yeah, been in
Carlos
the
has been
game
in
for
the
a
game
while.
for years and came to us. He was doing, I don't know, over 300K, and I think the last couple of months, dude, he was banging out like over 700, dude. So
Yep.
it's it just matter, but that's a testament to like how much you guys
Put
they
in the
want to
work.
show up, they how fast they apply the information, and we go from there. So pretty awesome. But yeah, from here, brother, the like the overall topic of this one, right, for this podcast, I had some ways I want to go about it, but I know you had some things you want to kind of touch on and just kind of.
Yeah, yeah. Like okay, so like looking back at the day you left to relocate here, like like I know there had to be one thing that scared you, like that was scary, right? Or maybe a number of things. Like what was the, but on top of that, what was the one thing that pushed you to still come in and throw your clothes in the bag and drive over here? So like, what was that one thing that pushed you? And what were the things that scared you the most?
Tie your shoe. Yeah, honestly, I didn't know you were gonna. Yeah, it's man. I try to kind of stash that away. I try to forget about that whole period of time because for those that don't, I'll just tell a little bit about my background story. Like, I was living in Utah, grew up in Utah. Uh, had kind of moved out to like Cali for like college a little bit. Was over there doing random shit. Came back home, and me and my mom like we went through a spiral. Right, we just kind of things didn't go our way, and then basically not went homeless, but like we got evicted. Basically, like there was no way we were gonna pay the next month, and this was like a period of like 8 months of just like selling everything we could down to like even selling my bed so that we could have food. Like it was bad, and it was one of those things where it was like ego was in play. Like we didn't tell anybody. Like it was something we were just going through, and we ended up thankfully my aunt out in Louisiana, they offered us a place to come stay. Her sister, and we came out there in Louisiana, and that was right when COVID hit. So my arm, I had screwed my arm up, tore my labrum, random shit, and so I couldn't really go do any like physical stuff, and I needed surgery on it, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And then COVID hit, so like at the time, dude, I started applying to everything I could. I didn't have a car at the time. And it was like this random ghetto grocery store. So I worked there about a year, and this is like literally like right when COVID hit. So like that year was like just a mess. I mean, I'm working at a grocery store during COVID. Like that was really one of the only things really open too,
Yeah.
And we had a hurricane go over us at that time too. It was nuts. And then from there I was like, oh shit, like Walmart's. I knew I wasn't gonna stay in Louisiana, right? And but I was like, man, I gotta get through this COVID shit, and I gotta figure something out. I gotta go do something, and I didn't know what it was gonna be. But I was like, man, Walmart's hiring. I could go do that part time and make more of what I'm making over here. Like I couldn't get, dude. I don't know why. It was during COVID. There wasn't a lot hiring, and unless I wanted to go do construction, there wasn't much out where I was. So I was like, fuck it, dude. I'll go there. I didn't want to go sit at home, So I went, started working there. Another hurricane came through. Shout out to Paxton. I was kind of trying to motivate him to go get some mentorship from this real estate coach. Shout out to Marshall. And he was like, ah, man, that's just not my thing. But you seem pretty motivated about it. And for whatever reason, he felt like I had helped him through a challenging time in his life at that point. So he's like, how much is it for that mentorship? And it was easily like $6,000, I think it was. And he lent me that money. I used it, got the mentorship, and that's actually where I met Alex, right? So I was working part-time at Walmart, and it didn't just start off I was working with you, right? It was like I was on these calls. We'd have these morning calls, sales calls, and you were the one that was just like always showing up, winning, and just getting after it. And I was really just a fly on the wall. I just wanted to be around success. That's why I was like, dude, money to me, I've spent a ton of money, like went through the spiral. Like to me, I was like, dude, like at the end of the day, I just need a better environment. That's what I wanted. That's what I was chasing, right? So I saw you win and stuff like that. And I knew I had to do something at some point, right? And COVID was still hot at that time. Like, it was a shit show. And again, I just had no idea how I was going to get out of, Louisiana. But, ended up getting connected with you. And you were looking for someone to make calls and schedule estimates for you. And I'm like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Let's do it. And so I'm making calls over there in Louisiana on my off time out of Walmart. And I think we set up something at that time where it's like, man, if I schedule something and you go sell a design, I get a kickback. And I don't know what it was. It could have been like $150 or $200 or something like that. Yeah. But this guy was closing 4 to 5 designs a week. I mean, COVID times were just not realistic, right? So it was a huge demand, and everyone was working at home, so they wanted a backyard project done. They had all this money, so he was easily. I think 1 month, dude, you did. It was like $32K in just design sales or design fee sales. So it's like it was just a different time, right? So for me, it was like, dude, think about it. I'm working part time. I think I was making something like $1,300 a month. That was I think I was before taxes, so it was just not good. That was part time though, and I made that decision. And I was just like, dude, like I got to figure something out on the side, and so I was doing that. So like, dude, that easily overtook my income fast, with how much you were selling. And then I think after the first like month and a half, you're like, hey, dude, I'm kind of looking. I the way I viewed it was more so like you wanted someone in-house, and you're like, hey man, like would you kind of jokingly you said, right, like we're like, hey man, would you ever come out here? It's like, yeah dude, yeah, 100%, because I was looking for an environment. I know the money will always come, right? Like I said, I've been around money, I've been around success, and I've kind of lived that life. I went through that spiral, so I was like, dude, I knew chasing money will only go so far. Like money will only do so much, right? So I was like, dude, like I want to be around a winning environment. Like that's what I need. I need to get out of here. And I was like, dude, I'll do it. I'll come next week. He's like, oh shit. Like he's like, man, maybe I should have said that. He's probably thinking in his head. And a week goes by, and he's like, you know what, dude? And not even, I don't even think a month later, like maybe a few weeks, we decided, yeah, dude, let's do this. And I knew my mom was still living with, we had a place at the time. We had moved out finally after like a year, got our own little apartment. And we were fine there. She was working, right? So she was kind of taking care of that. And you had this kind of office / trailer home here. And I was like, yeah, man, like I don't have enough to go get my own place or whatever, but if you can let me stay in there, I'll pay you whatever. And, luckily you worked it out for me. You said, yeah, let's do it, man. And then I was on my way, man. So from Louisiana to Chicago, man, I think it was like 14-hour drive or something. I can't remember what it was.
I think it was around this time too.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And, it was in March, so it'll be 4 years in March. So yeah,
it was still kind of it was cold, but it was already.
Yeah, it was. I got here the day before my mom's birthday or something. It was like 2 days or something like that. It was pretty crazy. And so I got here and just right off the rip, man, started getting into it. The first week, you try to get me to learn designs. I was like, man, I came for sales, man. What is this shit, But obviously, like I said, at that time there was so much going on. Sales was really not the issue. Everyone wanted a project, so. That's where I stepped into more of the operation side. So kind of go back to your question, right? Like what made you willing to just like pack your bags? Dude, I had no bags. Like I was kind of the lowest point I could probably be at. And
one bag.
Yeah, I had been through the spiral. I'd lost, like, dude, at one point coming out of high school, dude, it was like.
I'm looking at his car like, I'm like, I only got one bag. Like, I'm telling my wife, like, man, he only brought one bag. And I was like, shit. I was like, all right, well, we got some work to do, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and this isn't, I mean, it was fair, right? Like, at the time, I think my mom was technically, what I was making here off the rip, because it was very new, right? I didn't even have enough to pay all my bills, right? But obviously we worked it out and stuff like that, everything, and then we just kept growing from there. But, yeah, dude, it just like, I was at the lowest point at that time. I was like, I know what a winning environment can do for me and what I can do for a team that actually like, values that. So like, once I saw that with you, like I told you from day one, man, I didn't come for pavers. I came for the environment. And I feel like that's why I've been able to succeed, right? Like it's not, obviously it's not me. It's like, I came here, you had the winning formula, and I was able to get plugged into that, and I'm so grateful. So it's just been like a combination of that, and me and you grew up very similar. Dads both kind of the old head mentality, like old school, right? So we kind of clicked off almost like brothers, and Yeah, so yeah, for me it was easy, man. It was like, dude, there's nothing. I don't drink, I don't party. Louisiana, that's all it is, right? And there's nothing out there for me. COVID was kind of coming off at that point. Like you were going to estimates, people were indoors, you were on the phone
outside,
with them because they didn't want to get sick, right? So it was still kind of like in that motion, but yeah, dude, I was looking for an out, you know. So man, I was like, man, I if it wasn't, and again, I'm not saying this like I love my mom and I always want to be around me and, you know, cherish the time I have with her, right? But I was like, dude, if it was just me, dude, I'd fucking sleep on the street if I have to. I don't care. Like, it's just like, you gotta want it to a certain extent.
Yep.
And so that's why I was like, dude, I didn't care where I was sleeping. As long as I had a place to stay, dude, and eventually I could get my mom out here and there was some sort of roadmap for that, then I'm gonna work it out, right? And before I came here, he made sure, yeah, man, well, whether or not he knew, right? But he was like, hey, man, yeah, well, you know, if things go well, yeah, we'll definitely figure out a way to get your mom out here. And within, I don't know,
it was a few months.
Yeah, a few months. You know, we were in our own place, had my mom out here, and haven't looked back since. It's been great, you know. So yeah, it wasn't a hard transition, man.
It's dope. So another one. Obviously, I think there's a very few people that have been around me or are around me. I spend a lot of, not no more, right? But I think you get to witness a lot of the bad days, good days, and obviously Tony as well, because you know if he follows me around with a camera, you know he gets to witness a lot of the bad day. You know, I don't want to say bad days, but obviously you've seen me on my good days, bad days. Like, what's one thing about me as a leader that surprised you once you started working me with me directly? Even through the bad days and good days, like what's one thing that stood out to you, you know, as a leader once you were able to actually interact with me one-on-one?
Yeah, I think two things, right? Like, you know, it's funny. I was kind of thinking about this the other day, like, kind of the podcast and stuff. And you're somebody, right, that you were kind of born in the fire. Like, and what I mean by that is like you never got an opportunity to have a plan B, right? And I know I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that, right? Like, you know, you just never had an option to kind of go live the life you want. Yeah, sure, you could have just whatever, but you kind of had to like help the family business, right?
Yep.
You had to make a lot of sacrifices, but it wasn't something like, it was almost like you didn't really have time to think about it. You didn't have an opportunity to think about that. It's like you just got put into that position, and again, there was no plan B. That's something I don't think you were ever taught, which is a good thing, that, hey man, you should have a plan B or the set. No, it was just like, we got to figure this out. We got to fix it. And how do we grow? You know, so kind of just being around you, it's just like, you know, it just, that stood out to me, right? That there's a lot of people, they have a plan B, or like, oh man, like I'm trading on the side, I'm doing this, but no, it was all in on one thing, right? All in. But what I will say, my second thing to that is when I first came here, you're a totally different person than now than you were then. And I say that in a good sense. Like, if anything, I think that's a good thing. You know, that the show that you, like, as a leader, you have to continue to grow. Yeah, like, there's so many companies out there, you know, that were like, they get to the top, and they get there, and like, it does. If you get to the top, it doesn't, that none of it matters if you don't do something with it, right? So someone like you continue to grow. I think that's what a true leader is. When you see some of these guys that get to the top, they just pretty much call it quits. Like, they're cool. Yeah. They know they can collect that check. They can bring in the leads, and it's easy. And once they hit that the status quo that they need for the month, they're out. Like, they just don't care. They don't care about the people around them. And I think the biggest change I've seen from you is, like, you know, there's a lot of things you had to change as a person, right? And in the sense of, like, if you didn't change it as a person, your team wouldn't change.
Yep.
You know, I think you realized that, and you made those changes, and you continue to change and better yourself as a person. And honestly, like, it inspires me. And if it wasn't for you, dude, I wouldn't be back in the gym, I don't think. Honestly, like, I was just so locked in on work. I think we both were. When I first came here, dude, the first couple of weeks, we were literally in this office 3:30 in the morning. Like, 2 Celsius. I have the videos, like 2 Celsius in the hand. We didn't even think that shit was cool. Like, it was just like, that was the life we were addicted to. Yeah, we needed it. But obviously that's not the life, that's not going to last long. It's not sustainable, right? But again, you know, you've changed so much, and I think that's a true leader, someone that, like, recognizes, like, hey man, you can't just stay where you're at. Like, it doesn't matter if we've got where we think we need to be, or where I dreamt to be. it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop, and you need to make sure your team's good. In order for them to want to push for more, they've got to see you doing the same thing, right? So it's just that's kind of the two things I've really observed, since
we have
I
to
came here.
continue to evolve as a person,
Yeah, yeah.
Now another thing when it comes to running landscaping experts, like what are a few key things that you think that we do different than other companies around us? Because I will say that based on our on our size, meaning our internal team, I feel like, and I think it's proven that we're able to achieve and we're able to output as much as a lot of these bigger companies out there. Like, what are some key things that you think we do different than a lot of the companies out there that have been around as long as we have, but it takes them sometimes double the staff that it takes us to do the same amount of output.
Like you want me to get like practical, like
Whatever you want, yeah. Like,
um,
just you don't have to go deep. Don't go deep in. You don't have to go deep into them, but what are the few key things that you think we do different, and why do we smoke these companies that are bigger than us sometimes, staff wise? Like, why can we operate at a higher level with less people?
yeah, I think it comes back to environment for me, like the culture we're building, right? The pack that we have. Like we don't look. I personally don't look at this as like a job, right? Like I think the way that you've hired is more so like you want to make sure everyone's bought in on the same mission, and our mission is just a little bit more extreme, I could say maybe. Like we're not just here to build patios, right? We're here to make a difference, and I honestly believe that, right? And it's not just going to end with pavers, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of like, if we get down to the nitty gritty, like I said, we were one of the first guys to really push designs at an actual price, like not doing them for free and random stuff like that. Like I said, when it comes down to the qualifying side, like, you're not just randomly ripping calls in the truck. Like, we actually care about like, that's when the sales process starts, right? There's a lot of ways we look at it. Like our sales process is totally different, right? So a lot of little things like that, right? A lot more attention to detail. And I think those bigger companies, I don't know. It's just, I think it's just more a culture thing, I think that's the way I look at it,
Yeah, I think the few key things that we do different is just pretty much summarizing what you're saying is the few key things that make us different is one of them, like you said, the amount of heart we put into this, into everything that we do, all the way from creating ads to bringing leads, the way we respond to these leads when they come in, all the way from our content, the way we how intentional we are to put in the content together, the way we instruct our guys to go about things in the field, like I said, just all the way from start to finish. I think the way our intentions are totally different. It's not just about the money. Bringing in revenue is it's not hard. It's actually one of the easiest things. Once you lock in a few key factors within your business, like bringing in revenue is the easiest thing. But so like I said, one is the emotion we bring into it. Number two, I think we do use to our advantage any system, like process, like all the technology. We use as much technology as possible to our advantage. Like we automate a lot of things. We've built systems and processes that most companies don't have or don't even think about. So I know that in that sector, we're way ahead of the game. So we're able to squeeze out a lot more from our energy. We've gotten a lot away from a lot of the busy work that really doesn't push the needle forward with systems, processes. And then the third one, I think, anyone that we bring in our team, the way I hire is different than most companies, right? The way other companies hire is just based on, hey, are you qualified for the job, and can you are you certified to do the job? And I hire more on, you see the long-term vision. So the amount of we might have less people, but the people that we do have are going to come in, are going to be a lot more efficient, because when you're qualified and you see the vision and show up every day, like, you're going to run different. So we have, instead of having a key player in our team that one or two out of everybody, every single person in our team is running the same way. So that makes it a lot more efficient. Um, and what else? I'm trying to think. What else?
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but as you're saying that, it makes me think too. Like you as an owner, one thing that I've, like I'm grateful for, and that's what that's why I was willing to even coming out here is that I could tell like you're not that you well not even that I can tell I live it like you don't look over everyone's shoulder. It's not about that. Like, and I think a lot of these bigger companies that's
Yeah.
that's the model. Like you get so big that you're like, oh, I gotta look over everyone's shoulder, like this and that. But dude, as long as you're hitting the targets, right, the KPIs that we set, like that's it, right? Like, if Tony wants to go to the gym in the morning and doesn't come in until 12, like, dude, but he's gonna get his shit done. He's gonna get the week's worth done. Like he's again, we're on a mission, right? So you're not looking over everyone's shoulder. Like you let us kind of do our thing. But dude, we like I said, like when it comes to performance, like
we perform better than everybody.
Yeah, we run over everybody. Like we run laps around them, and as we get bigger, it's only gonna get more dangerous. So that's what I'm excited for. It's like you don't kind of like put that. I just think I look at all those other companies. They want to be, I'm this owner, this or that, and you've always been open to like, oh man, hey, you have some input, you have some thoughts, like how we could grow, and you'll listen to it, you'll take it in, and you'll work with the team, right? Like, hey, maybe let's see if it makes sense to implement or whatever. But other companies are just, oh, you got to talk to this guy to that guy and that guy.
Yeah.
Your voice isn't heard, doesn't matter. Right? The first week I met you, dude, I literally told you I want to make $1 million. And we're talking about I'm making calls for this guy. Like, I'm like, hey man, as long as I know there's a roadmap, let's make it happen. Let's figure out a way. Because if I can do it, we can bring on somebody else that can do it. It's like, it's crazy,
Yeah.
right? But he's still like, hey man, like, I'm not saying, it's going to happen, but we'll try, and that's all I needed to hear. I just wanted to test those limits, and he was down. So as long as, knowing that he's down no matter what for something like that, and always, okay with his team growing, like that's I think that's important. A lot. I'm not saying other companies aren't, but it's just like, you got an employee that comes to you and say, hey man, I want to make $1 million. It's like they don't even know what a paver is. I mean, it's like
I was in trouble, man.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so that's something I would say that definitely stands out.
But going back into another question, obviously you're in more on the operational side when it comes to landscaping experts. And what would you say is the hardest thing being in that role of being, on the operational side of, whether it's with the crews, whether it's with the customers, whether, with vendors or, what do you think is the hardest thing out of everything?
Mm-hmm.
Which one creates the most pressure when it comes to operating and, because at the end of the day, remember, it's like you try to operate at a level that things don't come to me unless like it's pretty bad.
Right.
And, there's a lot to mitigate in between that gap we try to create from me and the issues that had to be solved by before they come to me. What is the hardest part like that you can think of?
Yeah. And to kind of go back to the last question a little bit too, because it ties in with it, and I do want to share is like another thing that separates us from those other companies is I don't really think there's one person in this company that looks at this as like a job, really, and a lot of the companies around me, that's kind of how they walk into that office every morning. It's like, I'm going to my job, right? So my point, the reason why I'm even sharing this is like the most stressful thing, whatever. It's like the thing that I've learned being around you and this opportunity is like, it all goes back to you. Like you have to take responsibility of the accountability of the situation, take that responsibility. And it's more so like the struggle is more so understanding that, hey dude, you got to grow as a person, and it's got to happen fast. Because as the company continues to grow, like the company goes so fast, you got to stay, you got to meet those standards. Yeah, you got to catch up or you get left behind. And I think that's one of the things, like I was coming from a certain place where like I kind of lost my standards at the time. Coming into a winning place like this, it's like those standards are set and we also raise the bar. So it's like you have to stay in that you have to hold that standard, right? Or else you're going to get left behind. And so I think that's the pressure that I feel is like, you can't just stay the same person. It's just not gonna work out. And so yeah, I would say above all the business stuff, dude. Like as we talked about, it's all the same shit. It's like we signed up for it, right? It's like dealing with shit. Like that's basically our job. So it's like you can't get upset about that. Again, you have to take responsibility for it so you can take control of the situation, and that's the only way you're gonna solve it, right? But again, it all comes back to you. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned being a part of this, being around you, is just like if you want to grow as a person, if I want that $1 million a year, or whatever, it's gonna come from like me growing as a person and taking on more responsibility and handling those issues. So it's just like how fast can you grow? I think that's the pressure I wake up every day. Like, dude, I gotta fix this. I gotta solve this. Like, with myself, and then it just makes everything else easier. So it's all the same to me. I look at it all the same. It's just all the same shit, copy and paste, but it's a reflection of how hard things are. It's a reflection of you as a person, I feel like.
Yep. Yeah, because it's like I said, that's why last few months, I think this last year, I think I've focused more on what person do I have to become in order to be at the place that I want to be.
Yeah.
Because you can have all these targets, all these goals, but on the personal level, if you're not there or not even trying to get there, it's not going to happen. And that's why, I feel like a lot of people will spin their wheels so much, they have such clear targets and such clear goals, but they just feel like they can't get there. And then to your point, the only thing that's stopping you is you.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's one thing I realized, that I went so far on one side, which is business, and then on my personal development, that was falling behind. It's only a matter of time where that doesn't coincide with one another, and then that's when you're gonna run into bigger issues.
Yeah.
And then at that point, all that time you spent working on the business, that you backtrack. So, to your point is, if you really want to grow, it comes back to you. Continue to work on yourself. And I'm speaking to myself as well, right? I fell behind for a very long time, even on the physical standpoint. So, yeah, just work on yourself, and then all the other things are gonna come with it. But yeah, having to become that person you need to be. So, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, I think, and just one last thing is, Alex, is we're going to the next topic. Is like that's anytime right in business where I catch myself like, oh man, I'm frustrated about this, angry about that, stressed about whatever. I just started looking at it as like, hey man, this is an indication that like, hey, something I've got to fix with like inside, right? Like with myself, like I'm not the guy that I think I am, like, which is not a bad thing, but you gotta accept that, and you just gotta grow. You gotta better yourself and know that, hey man, when it's just an indication, you got to be better. You got to do better, and it's just helped me so much looking at it that way. And I don't really wake up. I know there's gonna be shit that has to be handled, and you can call it stressful situations, but it makes it a lot easier when you look at it that way. And yeah, so.
Yeah, which that brings me to the last question. We'll leave it at. It's like, what's one thing more people would understand about the pressure you have to carry on a day-to-day to be, either at this level or just at any certain level? Like, what's one thing that you wish they would understand, or can you go deeper into that?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to what I was kind of touched on earlier, is like, it isn't, I don't know, like, I remember I went to all the conferences you could have thought of. Like, I went to, it was the first or the second growth con that Grant Cardone had put on, and I went to that out in Vegas. And I remember in my leg on, it's one of my favorite talks I've ever heard him talk about, because he said, hey man, like, before I got on stage, I went to the bathroom. There's this guy working in there, a guy cleaning the bathroom as everyone's going in and out. I mean, I there might have been like 10,000 plus people at this one. And so in and out, guys just throwing shit off the side, missing the garbage can. And he's just seeing that. He's like, oh, well, obviously there's a worker. That's his job, right?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, like, all these business owners or people that want to be business owners are attending this thing. He's like, you're never going to own a business if you can't clean up somebody else's shit. Like, you can't, if you don't take responsibility for it, you're just never going to run. Like, yeah, sure, you could have a business, but you're never going to be at that elite level. So it's like, from day one, dude, like, I've always looked at this as, I don't look at this as a job, and I look at this as if it was my business, Yeah. So it's like, I'm not, dude, as you guys can tell, like, I like this podcast, I love it, as much as I'll be able to be a part of it, like, because it helps me kind of speak better, stuff like that. I'm not the smartest guy, right? Like I don't even know how I got out of high school. I got my degree, but it's like I know I'll work way harder than the guy. Like there's so many people out there. Oh, I gotta go find a job. It's been hard, or they get in a job and they think they made it. It's like, dude, I'm not looking for a job. You know, I'm looking to be, like you said, to become a certain person that I need to be able to be at this certain level. So it's like when you look at this stuff, like just know, like if you really want to get to those high levels, it comes to becoming that. You got to look at yourself as if you're already that owner, and you got to ask yourself, hey man, what, like if I were that owner, or running this type of operation, how do I got to live my life, and you just gotta accept that, and you got to show up every day like that. And you can't show up like the fucking employee, or else you're always gonna stay that, and you're always gonna be a victim. Life's never gonna go your way. It's always gonna be shitty, and it doesn't change as you grow too. That's another thing dude, like Alex, just because he lives a better life than like 99% of the population, like he's in technically like the 1% basically, does not mean he goes through just as hard as shit as anybody else, right? So it's like it doesn't get easier. You just get stronger as a person, and you know how to handle those situations better. So it's just how you view things. You need to understand before you step into something like this, you need to look at it like, hey dude, like I'm here to take over. Like it doesn't matter if you're going to or not. There's plenty of other companies that probably would, run over us, right? We're nothing, but the whole idea is like, hey man, like you gotta at least be shooting for it, yeah. So I think that would just, if that answers your question. I mean,
Yes, sir. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here, and like I said, expect one of these podcasts at least once a month. We're gonna be dropping once a month. So for the people that are watching, we appreciate you guys. Also, remember these podcasts. Yes, they're fun and all, but also we want them to be as educational as possible. So if you guys are watching this and you own a business and you want to hear about a certain topic, drop it in the comments, whether it's operational, whether it's personal, whatever it is, drop it in the comments. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and let Stanley, leave us with a quick outro here.
Yeah. No, honestly, like you said, yeah, drop any feedback below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Remember what'd you say? What's the motto going into this next month? I would say, man, you gotta earn the holidays. We got all these holidays. Earn the holidays, and we'll catch you guys next month.